For a limited time, check out the new line of Halloween-inspired gear of your favorite PFC network shows. T-shirts, hats, and more, with exclusive designs and logos are now available, but only for a short amount of time. Check out pfchalloween.printify.me right now to get these spooky designs before they're gone.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
This is Creepy Soup on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Hello. We are live, but this would also be what, episode 117, I think.
This is episode 118.
Oh, shit. Okay. 118.
Very special edition, too, I don't mind telling you.
Yeah.
Hi, Jill.
Hi, Jason.
So we are live streaming this as we are recording this. Now, full disclosure, we have tried a couple of times to figure out what the best day and time to record this episode is. And as the day progressed, we're like, well, you know, we're getting later and later in the weekend. And I'm like, well, why don't we just do this as a live stream? You know, we haven't really done that with this show before, in this realm. So it's like, well, let's add a little spice to it this week. You know, and again, this will be available also through your traditional means, through the RSS feed and your YouTube channel. But you know, welcome to everybody that is tuning in live as we're doing this. And I'm very privileged once again to sit in the co-host seat.
And it's always
So
a privilege to have you, so.
How's things?
Things are good. I don't know if you can see the difference behind me, but I switched the entire room around. So actually, when you said yesterday, hey, how's tomorrow at 12:30? I'm like, oh, yes. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to scramble to get it done. I mean, this is not going to be playing for very long. I'm trying to figure out what I'm putting up there.
No, it looks good. But I mean, it is a difference, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at, like, I go back and like when shows drop, especially the video shows, because I've been toying around with different graphics and different layouts and things of this nature. I go back and I look back on, like, on my side of the screen, it's like, holy shit, I need to do something, you know, but my capabilities are pretty limited where I'm at right now. So I don't have a lot of creative freedom, but make no mistake about it. Like if there's going to be a day or time where somebody's going to tune in and I'm going to have shit set up the way that I actually want it. So and I understand how important that is to have your space, you know, you just feel better about stuff.
Yeah. Actually, one of the ideas that was floating around in my little noggin last night, because I was on the Printify page, and I think the beach towel would be super cool on the wall behind me.
You know, there's it's funny you say that, because they have added Printify. I'm talking about. Is this the with the side of bullshit portion of the show? Is that what we're doing right now?
Yeah. This is the side of bullshit.
There is they have uploaded a bunch of new apparel gimmicks that I can put our logos on, and wall hangings. much like we used to get in the 80s and the 90s, great big fabric wall hangings. Usually, this was associated with rock bands. Guns N'
Yep.
Roses comes to mind. Bon Jovi comes to mind. Like I can go to we used to have a store here in Lapeer called Hole in the Wall, and it was all music, all pop culture type of shit. And I can remember going in there, and just their walls were lined with nothing but wall hangings. And like they had every band under some Metallica, Megadeth, and all. And one day I walked in there, they had I don't even know why I'm telling you this, but the Ultimate Warrior. And it was the one that they sold in the WWF magazine that you had to send out for, but they had one there, and my mom actually let me buy it. And they overcharged the shit out of it, but it was so cool because it was, obviously anybody who knows me knows why that would resonate with me. But
Right, right.
Printify now offers that. So
Okay.
I'm going to be able to it's probably going to be part of probably the Christmas line, because I am so itching to launch the Christmas line on November 1. So as they keep adding more shit, I'm like, well, we're going to put that on there. So, I kid you not. Right now, you just heard the ad for the Halloween inspired merchandise. That is available now until November 1st. But I got like 250 Christmas items just ready to hit the launch button. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've been having a lot of fun making that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where that would be fun. I actually have a couple things in my cart on there.
The damn you say.
Yep. And I think that is what I've got on there, that shirt.
Is
But
that
I
right?
think that's the regular store. I have a list. That one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I have that one in my cart and something else. I don't remember. Yeah, I got done switching shit around in here and I was like, I'm gonna shop.
I actually bought myself, or I placed an order, my first order with Printify. I guess it was last month, and it came in, and because you had showed me a couple of the things that you had gotten,
Mm-hmm.
the cup and things like that, and I was real interested in how the apparel. Yeah, there it is. The apparel was going to turn out, and I had ordered like a polo shirt for Fatal 4-Way that I do on ONTV every other Friday because I want to look professional and all that shit. And I was real happy
Mm-hmm.
with the quality that they came out. And I bought a couple of things for my girl, and she was real happy with it. Like I actually did design specific things just for her. Like nobody else will ever have that. And
Right.
like, and it came in. I'm like, well, goddamn, this turned out pretty goddamn cool.
Yeah.
And she dug it too. So win-win for me. I don't mind
Yep.
telling you.
I think the shirt that I bought the We Love Dan shirt.
Right.
I bought my husband the Creepy Soup hat, which he wears a lot more than I thought he would, to be honest with you. But he wears it. I've got the coffee. The coffee was amazing. The coffee
Was
was
it really?
so good.
Oh, good.
I've got that cup. I've got the coffee mug. I bought the stickers, the notepads that were all in the back to school. Yeah.
I love you so much for right now. That is so amazing. So amazing. But, Printify, we say all this to say, great company to work with from my perspective. Their turnaround has been pretty decent, and their
Yeah.
quality has been good. Like there's really not one thing that I have come across right now that I have run into issue with. But I'm
Mm-mm.
also very strategic about it's kind of difficult to explain how it all works out with them because they like outsource the actual printing and the creation, and they work with a number of different companies and printers and things of this nature. They just
Yep.
kind of source it out and things like that. I make a concentrated effort to make sure that all of our shit is made in America
Mm-hmm.
because there are some like zip up coats and things of this nature. I'm like, wow, those would sell, but they're being made in Bangladesh or
Right.
China or something like that, and I do not even fuck around with that. I'm
Right.
just not doing it. I want shit American made. I'm an American. You know what I mean? I want to keep people working that are working in our country. You know,
Right.
I know the
Absolutely.
garments themselves are, you know, made in Vietnam or whatever, but the actual printing of our shit on that garment is done here in America, and that is a very concentrated effort on my part.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it don't
and
matter
I,
how cool it is. If it's done overseas, it ain't happening.
right. And I can verify that they do use different printers because I ordered the tumbler that I'm using now and the coffee mug same day. I got the coffee mug about 5 days earlier than I got the tumbler.
Hmm. That's how it was with my order too. Like
Yeah.
my girl's stuff came in separately, and I'm like, and this was the week up to ONTV, so I was like, where's my shit? Because I
Right.
want to wear this on Friday. Don't you know? It showed up Friday morning. So
Nice.
I get what you're saying. That part, if there was anything that did frustrate me, that would be it.
Hmm.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's a blip on the radar.
Yeah. And like everything I got super quick, it was under 2 weeks.
Hmm.
So I'm not mad about it.
No, and look, it's not Amazon. You know,
Right.
this is not shit that I have paid to have pre-made and then sitting in a warehouse somewhere. When you order it is when it gets made. So it is going to take a little bit of time. Um, but like I've always been about merchandising. You know this
Hmm.
from the shirts that I've made from where we work for our shoot job. You know,
Yep.
like that's been a long standing thing with me. And even longer before that, you know, when I was a promoter and a wrestler for the MWO, like merchandising's a big damn deal in the wrestling business. Any kind of entertainment or sport entity, you know,
Right.
merchandising is huge. And
Yeah.
it's
And
something that not a lot of a lot of people will dive into.
yeah. And I'm a self-proclaimed shirt whore.
Yes,
I
you are.
I
You have
love my
said this.
shirts, and I was trying to prove how many I had. So I did theme weeks. And one of the weeks was all of the shirts that I had got from you.
I love that so much. Because
Yep.
you've got quite a few of the ones that I printed. Every
Yep.
time I put something out there, you were always one of the first ones. I need one or two or whatever.
Yep.
And it's like, bless your heart. Bless your heart.
I want to say the only one I missed was the just ship it. And I'm pretty pissed about it.
I think I might still have that screen. And if I do, I'll be sure to make you one. Like all my screens are sitting in a box over here. And I'll be honest, I haven't laid ink on a shirt in quite some time, but I still have all my shit to do it.
Yeah.
Um, so let me write in addition to another piece of business that I need to tackle when we're done here. I will make note and see what we can do here for that.
All right.
I wish I had
Sounds.
known that because I had a bunch of extra shirts in my locker at work, and I needed to clean them out, so I just threw them out on the break table. And like a couple of them were like the strike shirts that I made in 2019, and like, why in the fuck do I still have this? But like I put them out on the table, and I mean within an hour that they were gone. So if I had known that, I would have looked to see if there was one in your size, and I would have pulled that aside. But make no mistake about it, the silver lining is you'll get one in any color scheme you want that nobody else will have. So you got that going for you.
All right.
Well, people did not tune in here to listen to us talk about merchandising and printing and things of this nature. They're coming in here for a specific reason because you have established the genre and the overall tone of the show, and that's what draws your attention, your viewers, your fans. Um, We are doing this as a live stream. I am able to be here this week in the co-host seat, but I'm going to kind of take a page out of what we do on Wednesdays when we do Power Tripping Through the 80s here on the PFC network, along with Sean Gergel. We're going to tackle a list this week, Jill. Are you excited?
The damn you say. I'll take Sean's line.
Thank you so much for that. I was hoping you were going to take the lead on that. Love that.
Yes, I am
All right.
ready for a list.
Now, full disclosure, I presented Jill with three different topics, three different lists. Now, she does not know what's on this list.
Nope.
She just knew what the lists were. She chose the one that we're going to do this week, and it is, pardon me. I want to get the official title right because I want to, mess anybody up. But we're going to be looking at the 10 most haunted cities in the United States. Now, they have a list of 15 here. We're not going to do all 15. We're going to do 10. Before we get to this list, when I say haunted cities, Jill, is there one that you have done research on, one that you are aware of in terms of it has the tag of being a haunted city? Is there anything that stands out?
The first one that I think of is New Orleans.
Okay.
That's the first one that comes to my mind. But I will say this one, Saginaw, where I'm at, pretty fucking haunted.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, there's a friend of mine, and he's the one that the Patreon, he has a whole series of documentaries, and I think the majority of them are Saginaw. In fact, the name of his series is Haunted Saginaw, but he's got one like out in Essexville and a couple in Merrill. But basically, and some of the places are crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see if Saginaw, Michigan lands on this list, but I can tell you that kicking off this list, and this is what really got me zeroed in on this particular one, Alcatraz in San Francisco, California. You and Sean have talked about Alcatraz before in previous episodes, but
Yes.
Here's what the write-up is.
Sorry about my neighbor. Can you hear
I
it?
honestly can't hear it. No, I can't.
Oh, he's revving his engine.
No, I don't hear any of that.
Oh, okay.
Pardon me, Jesus. Al Capone's banjo can be heard at Alcatraz in San Francisco. It says as follows. I did hear that. San Francisco is home to all sorts of wonderful attractions for tourists, some of which are brimming with haunted history. The city's infamous island prison, Alcatraz, boasts lots of reasons for hauntings. Before Alcatraz was a federal prison, it served as a Civil War military prison in which many prisoners perished due to horrendous living conditions. There are nearly too many haunts here to count, but the one more notable is the sound of Al Capone's banjo. Another creepy place is Mount Sutro Forest, on top of a 900-foot hill. Sutro Forest is a wonderful site for exploring gorgeous woodland scenery, but in the early 1900s, the foggy and secluded spot was also apparently a place where numerous people took their own lives. So you may hear them moaning as you hike.
Yeah. If I flew on a plane, which I never have and have no desire to, Alcatraz would absolutely be on my bucket list. Absolutely.
I'm just thinking about the scenario of you're with your significant other, you're walking through what seems to be gorgeous woodlands, especially this time of year. The leaves are changing. We're very much in fall right now. My favorite time of the year, except for Christmas. You're just walking around hand in hand with your significant other, and all of a sudden you start hearing a bunch of moaning. Fuck that, I'm out.
See, and I'm just that type of person. I'd be like, we gotta go find where that's coming from.
Right, right. Lost my list here. Some bitches. Um. So yeah, Alcatraz is going to be one of those places that it's been immortalized in movies. I mean, anytime you put Clint Eastwood in something, it's going to be remembered for the long haul. But
Right.
um, it still has such an aura, such a history of it. A lot of what we just laid out here was a Civil War military camp. There's so much history with that particular island.
Hmm.
It would be very interesting to see if you could hear Al Capone's banjo. How
Yeah.
creepy the fuck would that be?
So real quick, I have a little
Mm-hmm.
note. Um, Someone recently on one of the Saginaw pages, Saginaw County past, present, future shit. Someone had posed the question: was the mafia ever present in the Saginaw area? And the answer to that is yes. Um, and people were talking there. It's I believe it's no longer there, but there used to be a bar in Freeland, which is I believe still considered Saginaw County, and it was called Rodichers. Now I went there once. They had like that big ass fishbowl drink.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was a well known hangout of Al Capone.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Have you done any deep dives or anything like that on Al Capone on the show?
not on the show, no.
I would be interested in doing that someday. He is fast. He fascinates me.
Yes.
The whole story of him and his rise to power, and everything that went on during his time, and then after the fact, when in it was in the late '80s, they found his vault, and they did this great big primetime television special with Geraldo.
Yeah, I
Damn near
watched it.
tanked his career because they opened up. I did too. I was in it, man, because it was like an hour leading up to the whole story of Al Capone, and then they're going to open this motherfucker, and not a thing to be found. And what a popcorn fart in church! My goodness, I was so disappointed.
Very disappointed. I was like I didn't know. I was hoping they would find something, but not like open it up and nothing. That it was a
Right.
huge disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think it truly tanked his career because he was kind of on the rise at that point. And then he
Yeah,
did
he had
that,
his talk
and
show going on. He was in it.
yeah,
Then when all that went down, people looked at him as a joke because it was my
he,
understanding he spearheaded that whole project. He went to the
yeah,
network and said, "This is what we've got going on, and I'm confident that there's going to be something in there," and it didn't happen.
right.
Now
But I
he's
bet you them ratings were high.
fuck yeah, they were. I believe it was the highest rated primetime special that year
Mm-hmm.
because people were just so dialed in. Now take that speaks a lot of the promotional aspect of it too, the advertising for it.
Yeah.
But Geraldo was a big damn deal back at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and like nowadays, I think he's a contributor on one of the news stations, and maybe Fox, maybe CNN. I don't know which one it is. It doesn't even matter. He is
Yeah.
still out there, but he's nowhere near where he once was, and
No,
that's
and
too bad.
probably nowhere where he could have been. Really.
For yeah, yeah, for real. All right, moving on here in number 9. St. Augustine's Lighthouse in Florida. St. Augustine's Lighthouse, the city's oldest brick building, is home to the legends of at least 4 ghostly spirits. Peter Rasmussen was known for taking immaculate care of the lighthouse and for the cigars he smoked. After his passing, the smell of Peter's cigar has often been reported in the lighthouse. Another maintenance person felt his demise in the lighthouse and has reportedly been looking out from its roof. Uh, Hezekiah Pitty, who was hired to renovate the lighthouse, lost both his daughters, Mary and Eliza, to an accident on the property. Both girls are said to be heard daily laughing at the top of the lighthouse tower.
Ooh.
I feel like I've driven by this place when we went to Florida several years ago, and we went by the St. Augustine. There was something going on, and somebody had made mention of the haunted lighthouse there.
Okay.
And at the time, I dismissed it, but now I wish I had paid more attention to it. Just if I had known that I was going to be here X amount of years later, then
Right.
I would have paid more attention to it. But any stories that you've heard about St. Augustine, Florida?
You know what? It sounds familiar, but I have a book over here of haunted lighthouses.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there is one of the older episodes where I did a list out of the book, but I don't remember if it was just Michigan lighthouses, but I've heard of it, but I've never really heard any major stories about it. Like I've never done a deep dive or research into it, but that would be interesting. My dream home, by the way, is a lighthouse.
And I can understand that, and I can understand why. Especially, I've gone into a couple of them, the ones that are on display that you can go walk up to and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's like, man, this was actually somebody's house at one point.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of a cool lifestyle, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't want to be a lighthouse keeper. I just want to live in the house and just have the lighthouse.
Not asking for much. I don't see why you can't make that happen. All right. Number 8, the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, I can see that one for sure.
During the Texas Revolution in 1836, a grisly battle took place at the Alamo in San Antonio, leaving behind plenty of ghosts. One of the more unexpectedly ghostly inhabitants is a little boy who was evacuated from the Alamo during the battle. The child's parents stayed behind and perished there, and it's said that he roams the building still looking for his mother and father.
Aww.
That's kind of sad.
It is.
Ugh. I also did not read these before. I just came up with the list. If you listen to my shit on the 80s show, you would think by this time I would have known to do more research, because I've presented a list on the surface like, this is going to be a great list. Then you get into it, and it's like, why didn't I take the time to fucking research this before I embarrass myself in front of the whole world? All right. Number 7. St. Philip's Church Cemetery in Charleston, South Carolina. Well, if that don't scream haunted, I don't know.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
The skyline of Charleston, South Carolina is marked by numerous church steeples. In the cemetery of the city's oldest church, St. Philip's, the spirit of Sue Howard has been witnessed and even photographed, grieving for her stillborn baby. In 1987, a local photographer caught the entity on film and even sent the photo to Kodak, which examined the photo and could not disprove what was seen. Also, Charleston's Old City Jail once housed South Carolina's first known female serial killer, who thought to still reside there. The oldest building in Charleston, the Powder Magazine, a former arsenal that's now a military museum, is reportedly home of the ghost of the notorious female pirate. Interesting.
And that's one I can't say I've really ever heard of, but it does sound interesting. Very interesting.
If anybody is surprised by that, like, I know you're talking about a cemetery. Like, why wouldn't you think that would be haunted? You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. What do you know about the Shanghai tunnels in Portland, Oregon?
Absolutely nothing.
great. I'm gonna educate you.
All right.
Portland, Oregon is a Pacific Northwest city with plenty of cultural offerings, but the city has an unseemly past. Men traveling through Portland in the 1850s were susceptible to being kidnapped and sold unwillingly as ship slaves. These men were often transported through the tunnels that lie beneath Portland. The tunnels were also said to be used for activities including gambling, prostitution, and opium dens. Ghosts of those poor trapped souls are said to wander the tunnels looking for a way out.
Shit. That's horrible on several levels.
Several levels, right? What the fuck are we doing? Things were, back then, it makes you wonder how people orchestrated shit like that back then, and how we were still able to evolve into where we're at now. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about some of the most heinous shit that we've ever read or heard about, and it gets remembered and for things like this. And like, man, this is nuts. Okay, this one's going to be fun. We're going to travel to Savannah, Georgia. It's a pirate's house, Jill. In Savannah, Georgia, the historical Pirate's House, which today serves as a seafood restaurant, why wouldn't it? Was an inn during the 1700s for pirates coming in from the North Atlantic Ocean through the Savannah River, which is just a block away. A tunnel beneath the building was used to smuggle valuables and even men to serve as seamen against their will. Visitors report seeing person-shaped shadows and apparitions and ghostly moans coming from beneath the building.
Good Lord. How often are people under the building?
Makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. You mentioned New Orleans at the top of this countdown, and it does land at number 4 here on this particular list.
Okay, can I give my prediction for number 1?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Gettysburg. If it's not New Orleans, then it's got to be Gettysburg.
Okay. We will continue on with the countdown, and we will see if Gettysburg does indeed make the list. But coming back to New Orleans for number 4 here. New Orleans, the site of many real and fictional horrorscapes, has long been known as the creepiest city in the United States. Madame Marie Delphine McCartney, this chick literally has 6 names.
Yeah, and she was a crazy bitch. She probably made them all up herself.
It's perhaps the most notable spirit in the New Orleans history. She was known as a wanton cruelty toward the enslaved people she kept in the house, and accounts of her actions detail some of the worst inhumanity the city has ever seen. Though the building was once inhabited, the mansion was stormed and burned once. People learned of her wicked ways, but it was later rebuilt and is said to house her evil spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you.
Probably the spirits of all the slaves that she tortured. She was basically a Frankenstein. Yeah, she would cut off limbs and reattach them backwards, and real peach of a person.
So you are aware of this?
Yes.
Of this individual.
Mm-hmm. Okay. She's actually on my to cover list.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it would appear as you've got a lot of material there to dive through. So love that for you. Looking forward to that episode. Stay tuned, as they say. Okay. From New Orleans, Louisiana, we're going to travel up to Fall River, Massachusetts.
Oh, yes.
Fall River, Massachusetts. Yes. might appear to be just another lovely northeastern U.S. city near the coast, but residents and visitors claim to have witnessed the presence of spooky inhabitants. Lizzie Borden is said to have bludgeoned her father Andrew and stepmother Abby in the town in 1892 while they slept, although she was acquitted due to lack of sufficient evidence. Her family home still stands in Fall River as a testament to the brutal slayings and is now a bed and breakfast. Many guests have reported flickering lights, a woman's cries, a ghostly woman dressed in clothing true to the era. Visitors have also reported a strange light in the Oak Grove Cemetery in Fall River where Lizzie Borden is buried. I'm going to be honest with you. Lizzie Borden, the name Lizzie Borden, the first time I had heard about it, heard
Rock
that
band.
name, no, it wasn't even part of that. It was for a wrestling personality.
Oh,
There was a woman in the wrestling business named Lizzie Borden. I did not know at that time that it was taken from a real life person that we just talked about here.
hmm.
Um, I said Fall River, Massachusetts. You immediately knew it was Lizzie Borden. What else can you shed light on in terms of this individual that's not mentioned in the write up?
um, I mean, I don't remember what number, but I did cover Lizzie Borden. My daughter was pissed because she was like, "That's my favorite case." I didn't know that, but um, like one week I covered it, and then the next week because there was so many theories that have floated around about if like who actually killed Andrew and Abby, and there's many theories. Um, and there's many theories that the father was very inappropriate with the girls, kind of thing. Um, so just prior to the murders, um, the girl's uncle, which would have been their mother's brother, had been visiting, and um, it said he could be the killer to protect the nieces, the maid. There's a theory that Andrew Borden had um, fathered a son out of wedlock and he wanted money, that he killed him. But I do know that her and her sister like moved to another house and they lived together for a while and they got into an argument. The sister left. That part I don't remember. But I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not she did it because some of the other theories are very plausible.
Mm-hmm. Well, to hear more about Lizzie Borden from the Creepy Soup perspective, go back into the archives and check out, what all went on there. And still, this is one of those not characters, I shouldn't let me calm down. One of these personalities over the course of history that has been immortalized for the wrong reason. And I don't know. Have they made a movie about this woman, about all of this stuff? That I am not. I mean, I'm sure that they have, right? And
Yes.
is there one that you could recommend? Be like, this is what you can watch if you want to learn more about this individual.
I do know recently, like within the last 5 years, I don't know, time goes fast. It could be longer than that. But there was a series, don't know what station it was on because I haven't had cable in years, but Christina Ricci played Lizzie Borden. And I want to say there was a movie maybe in the 70s and Lindsay Wagner played Lizzie Borden.
I could see that Lindsay Wagner, for obviously younger people may not know who she is or anything like that, but Lindsay Wagner was chick had it going on back in the day,
Yeah, she was
and
everywhere.
yeah, Christina Ricci seems like based on what I have seen her in and my experience with her, it seems like she would be fit for this kind of role,
Mhm.
right in her wheelhouse. So I can appreciate that.
It was episode 87. And then we did a
There you go.
bonus with the
Episode
theories.
87 in the Creepy Soup archives. Go ahead and check that out. All right. Number 2, Gettysburg.
Huh. That was close.
Around 35,000 men were lost at the Battle of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, so it's not surprising that many of those spirits might still roam the grounds. The worst of the fighting took place at a rock formation called the Devil's Den, which seems to be the most prominent location within the battlefield for paranormal activity. Cell phones, cameras, and paranormal investigation equipment often stop working there, and ghosts in uniform have been reported as far back as 1939. So yeah, number 2 is when I scrolled up because I knew Gettysburg was on this list just from scrolling. I just wasn't sure where it was at. I knew it wasn't number 1. I was like, eesh. This is going to send Jill into fits if this is Lord.
Well, I mean, number 2 is pretty good. And every year, me and my husband say that's what we're going on vacation, and we just never make it.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to go because he's a Civil War buff. I want to go for obvious reasons.
Win-win. He gets to explore the history. You get to explore all the other shit going on. I can see that being a thing.
Yeah.
I, as a sidebar, no, actually, we'll do number 1, and then I'll tell you my sidebar. Number 1, the Lunatic Asylum building in
Allegheny.
I absolutely Athens, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Athens, Ohio is home to such attractions as breweries, wineries, and even a hot dog museum if you're in that type of thing.
What?
It's also home to the Athens Lunatic Asylum, which treated patients using psychotropic medication, electroshock therapy, and lobotomies for more than 100 years. Patients who lived there suffered from afflictions that were reportedly treated with intense cruelty by staff and physicians. At Athens Sims Cemetery, visitors have reported seeing the ghost of the cemetery's namesake and former city official John Sims watching his victims being hanged from a tree near the property. Wilson Hall at Athens University, which has been closed and sealed, is said to reside in the middle of the geographical pentagram with the cemetery at each point. The building is rumored to have been built over a Native American burial ground, so spiritual unrest is prevalent at the site. So not only...
I mean, it was doomed to start putting it over a Indian burial ground.
That's where, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing?
Did not stand a chance.
No. No. Because listen, make no mistake, and I don't give a rat's ass if you believe in paranormal activity or not, whether you consider it a hoax. There are things that happen in our lives. That's happened in your life. It's happened in everybody's lives. It's inexplicable. But when you get into an environment that is so marred with so much activity, so much history, it's going to rear its head one way or the other.
Yes.
I hate to be the one to tell you that, but what you think is bullshit is not. It is real, and you need to accept that. Anytime anything is affiliated with an Indian burial ground, you are asking for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And how much of that fed into the aura of what went on at this lunatic asylum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, you're already putting yourself behind the 8 ball. You are experimenting on people with serious mental issues. Who didn't think this was a recipe for disaster? You know what I
Right.
mean? And this is where you get a lot of that negative charged energy from paranormal activity, because it can be said that there is, I have made mention, I believe, on this show. I know I've talked about it in other shows. There's something happening in this house. There's other occupants here, and I believe it's my mother, and I believe it's my brother. But I do not feel threatened. But I went to several years ago. We went to Pennsylvania, and we went to one of the old prisons out there, and the feeling of uneasiness was on full display. And we would walk, and you would walk through like pockets of cold air. Like we're talking like the end of July is when we went. So summertime, right? And it's hot, it's humid, but you walk through the halls of this building, and you were walking through, it almost felt like air, like pockets of air conditioning. You just walk and like, man, you just felt something cold, like we walked through something cold. You know what I'm saying? So I know what the fuck I'm dealing with. And that is really, as I've listened to other episodes of your show, and I'm thinking, I have experienced things like this, but I don't talk about it. You know? And I made mention also, the house that we grew up in is now known as the haunted house in Hadley because of so much other shit. Now, we didn't experience anything like that, you know. And we lived right across the street from a cemetery. But now, since we have moved out, like we moved out of there in '95,
Okay.
the house is now considered haunted. So then I started thinking, like, wow, are things that I just chalked up as a coincidence? Was that a sign? And I just did not recognize that it was a sign because I was naive, I was young, I was whatever. I don't know. But now that's, where the Klauses grew up, that house is now haunted. And it's like weird. It's actually up for sale. And I've been trying to get in there to, number one, to walk the house that I grew up in.
Right.
But I also want to see, how do I feel walking through there? Am I going to be welcomed? Will I be recognized? This is kind of where my mindset is, and I'm trying to get with the realtor, let me in.
Right.
Under the the premise of I'm looking to buy this house. I've even let them know this is the house I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I want to go back and look at it. But so we're trying to make that happen. And if I do, you damn well better believe I'm filming that shit, because you just never know.
Yeah.
So that was our top 10 list. Jill, was there anything that you expected to be on this list that wasn't?
No, I want to say you hit, well, maybe, I would say you pretty much hit everything. And I'm going to assume maybe like Salem, Massachusetts, maybe would have been like at least in the 5 you didn't read, but I would think Salem. To me,
Let's check out. Let's look at this real quick. We won't do the deep dives into it, but just for shits and giggles, number 11, Philadelphia's Christ Church Burial Ground in Pennsylvania. They're saying that Ben Franklin's ghost has been seen there. We have been to that cemetery. We have seen his tombstone, and it does feel weird there.
Okay.
Holy hell. This one I am reading.
Okay.
I didn't know this. And once I get into this, you'll know why this resonates with me. Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, yeah.
The Chicago Cubs play at Chicago's Wrigley Field, but witnesses say the Windy City's landmark stadium is also home to several well-known ghost spirits connected to the team. The late Harry Carey, longtime announcer for the Cubs, is said to be inexplicably felt as a presence in the press box he used to work from and the bleachers nearby. Some claim to have spotted Steve Goodman, who wrote songs about the Cubs and passed at age 36, sitting in the bleachers behind home plate to watch his favorite team play. The ghost of Charlie Grimm, the manager who led the Cubs to the World Series in 1932, has also reportedly been seen walking the halls of the stadium. Damn.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Also on here, the opium dens beneath downtown Honolulu, Hawaii, apparently haunted by World War II soldiers. 14 is Westminster Hall in Baltimore, Maryland. And the other one is, of all places, Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee, where Elvis lived.
Okay.
Nothing about Winston-Salem.
Huh.
Interesting. But I saw that thing on Wrigley Field. I was like, whoa, okay, you have my attention.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fun list.
It was.
I learned some shit.
I can't say I was disappointed. Mustard can stay in the fridge.
I brought the good shit down today too, just in case. The Grey Poupon. If you don't know what the hell we're talking about, again, tune in Wednesdays here on the PFC Entertainment Network for Power Tripping Through the 80s. It's a running gag here.
Yeah, because who didn't run around saying, "Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?"
For real. Another one of those genius marketing tactics that has withstood the test of time.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to throw out there before we start winding this episode down?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, this was fun. I really enjoyed doing this.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
Anytime I'm tagged in here to be a part of this, I'm 100% on board, and we want to take this opportunity to. For anybody who was watching the live stream, we certainly appreciate you tuning in here, spending part of your Sunday with us. Those who are tuning in to the YouTube and the traditional RSS feed, we hope that you enjoyed this episode. And there will be, I'm sure somewhere down the line, there will be more countdowns. Because like I said, I've got more lists on standby in case you need content for a particular week. But
anytime.
As we start to wind this down, I want to make mention a little bit here, just because I don't get the opportunity very often to directly address your fans from my perspective as executive producer of the network here. I want to say this. We try to find anything. We try to find everything for somebody. Or it's something for everybody here on the PFC network. We have wrestling podcasts, we have sports podcasts, we have podcasts about overcoming trauma, we have music podcasts. This show stands out on its own because of the content, because of the genre, and I just want to make mention and acknowledge that Creepy Soup is one of the most downloaded shows on our network, justifiably so. And in the time that you guys have come to the PFC network, I have seen a tremendous improvement across the board. Not that what you were doing before was wrong by any stretch of the imagination, but since coming under our umbrella and working side by side here, it's been nothing short of refreshing and satisfying to see the growth that you have done, that the show has done, and we sat here for about a half an hour, 45 minutes before we hit the record button, and kind of talked about a number of different things that Jill and I don't get a chance to see each other face to face very often, just because of our work schedules and things of this nature. But what I will say is, you guys are doing an amazing work here.
Thank
It
you.
is resonating with the fans, and we appreciate every single person that takes the time, doesn't matter what day it is, doesn't matter what realm it is, to tune into what you're doing here. And without fans, without listeners, without viewers, there would be no reason to do this. We do this for you. You support us. We appreciate everybody across the board. And the sky is the absolute limit for this
Yes.
show. What we're going to do moving forward, some ideas, some things that we're kicking around, all in an effort to improve the opportunity that you have here, Jill, Jenny too. We're still thinking about her while she's on her hiatus. But at the same time, the show is going on. I don't want, because I had one piece of correspondence come into me. Um, is this show going on something of a seasonal break like a couple of our other shows is? The answer is absolutely fucking not.
Nope.
Jill will be here each and every week, and if she needs to tag me in, she needs to tag Sean in, she needs to tag Judy in, it doesn't matter. One way or the other, you will have new original content for this show every single week. That
Yep.
is our pledge. That is our drive. Now, life happens. We may be delayed a day or two. That happens. But every single week, you will get a new episode of Creepy Soup here on the PFC Entertainment Network. And I just wanted to reiterate that before we got out of here this week.
Yeah, I think the only hiatus that the show has taken was when we were coming to the network. It was like a week or two break that we had to prepare for the switchover,
Mm-hmm.
which I will say again, I know I've told you this before, you made it as easy as possible. And honestly, with the fact that, you upload everything, and schedule it to drop at midnight, it has made me so much more disciplined.
No, listen, just like we said off air, I'm here for you. You're here for the network. It's a good thing we got going here. And
Definitely,
it's only going to get
100%.
better.
100%.
I really enjoy what you guys are doing. I enjoy working for you, or to get your show up as the producer. And everybody has a voice, and voices are made to be heard. And that's what this whole thing is about. It's an opportunity to get your voice heard, and for something that you're passionate about. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate Jenny. I appreciate your fans, your listeners, the ones who are coming and seeing what we're doing, not just with your show, but they'll see, oh well, there's this kind of show on here, there's that kind of show on here. So I'm starting to see where um, one show is attracting the attention for other shows and vice versa. So it really is a win-win-win all the way around, for us, for them, for you, for everybody. And I'm very big on acknowledging and showing my appreciation for the people that support what we're doing, regardless if you're the host of the show or a listener of the show.
Absolutely. Yep.
I will always take the time to express my gratitude and my appreciation for that, because again, without them, why the fuck would we even be doing this?
Right.
But here we are. So anyway, with that, anything else you want to throw out? And we'll put a bow
No,
on
just
this.
thank you for listening and keeping me here on this couch.
Any kind of questions, feedback, show topic ideas, anything of the sort, you can send it over to the Creepy Soup Podcast Facebook page, or you can send us an email at klausoftheheart@gmail.com, or check out pfcnetwork.net, the official website of the PFC Entertainment Network. I'm going, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to find out what the hell is going on with the Creepy Soup store. I'll get that figured out. So hopefully by the time Tuesday rolls around, the shelves will not be empty in the proverbial sense here at Creepy Soup exclusive merchandise store. So stay tuned to that. We'll put up all of our information on Facebook and, of course, Twitter. With that, go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we will see you next Sunday with a new episode of Creepy Soup here on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Bye.